Monitoring those problems in Hinds County, several precincts ran out of ballots today. There were also a few voting machine malfunctions, as 12 News' Morgan Gill reports.
County Election Commission officials tell us a lot of people have been getting out to vote in Hinds County for the statewide elections, adding that numerous precincts had to have additional ballots brought to them because more people showed up than expected.
In the short time, let's see, about 45 minutes that I've been here, they've run out of ballots, which I was told was around 11:30 this morning, and they just got them in around 1:40 this afternoon. They did deliver some that were shrink wrapped, and then another batch that was not. So made sure the count was correct. And that's what I'm doing every hour, on the hour, getting a count of the number of votes cast.
Some precincts say they had a little trouble working the new poll books, and others say a lot of the regular voters aren't showing up in the system.
We've just been doing a lot of affidavits for people who aren't showing up in the system, because some people just won't show up at all. Like, even if they have been coming here for like years, like there have been some regulars who I've seen come here before who I know vote at this precinct who just aren't showing up.
Voting officials say Hinds County has been having a great turnout, but one voter tells us she is not comfortable with what is happening at Chastain Middle School.
And just the whole operation is they're doing the best they can. Let me put that out there. Those workers are doing the best they can, but just leaving my ballot, just laying on the table, I'm just not comfortable with that.
McGee says she is in favor of a recount. Morgan Gill, 12 News.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about the hypocrisy of the left, because when it comes to this issue of elections, okay, and when we're talking about issues with elections, making claims about elections, only one side is allowed to say that, hey, I don't think that an election was conducted fairly. If you are a conservative, if you are a Trump supporter, and you claim that, hey, I don't think the election was conducted fairly, then you are smeared as a election denier. You are a threat to democracy. You are an insurrectionist. However, if you're on the left and you claim that I don't think that the election is fair because of voter suppression, racism, well, I just didn't like the outcome, right? The Republican that won is a bigot, I hate Trump, then that's seen as totally fair game. Like, for example, Stacey Abrams, Hillary Clinton, who denied the outcome of their elections, they were praised, right, for denying the outcome of their elections. However, when Trump denies the outcome of the election, again, he is smeared, okay, as, well, he's a sore loser and he's a threat to democracy. We need to lock him up and throw him in jail, right? Again, this double standard is clear in regards to who's allowed to make claims about the election and who's not. In this video, I want to show you guys right here from TYT, right? This is from Rashard Ritchie's channel. He has his lackey, the mayor of Enfield, who, by the way, I'm not sure why they're allowing this guy to host this show, considering how this same guy basically falsely accused the city bike Karen, the woman, of being racist, right? When, all the young scholars essentially tried to take a bike from her because they thought that it was okay for them to just sit on a city bike and they could just hog it, okay, without actually renting it, right? And they basically tried to bully a pregnant woman off of a bike. Yeah, this guy smeared her and doxed her, okay, and said all types of crazy things about her, racist things about her. And TYT almost got sued for it, right? And for whatever reason, they're bringing this clown back on the show to keep boohoo whining and crying about fake instances of racism, which is what they're going to do here, okay, as they're going to claim ballot/voter fraud happened in Mississippi because a Republican governor was reelected, okay? And they're going to discuss this, and I want to discuss this with you guys. I want to show you guys, because this is a prime example of what I'm talking about in regards to the hypocrisy of the left when it comes to this issue of free and fair elections and whether or not you're allowed to question it. You're only allowed to question it, again, if you can throw a liberal agenda on it, right? For example, if you can cry racism, then you're allowed to question the election. So let's go ahead and get into this.
Majority black precincts in Mississippi ran out of ballots. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves was reelected on Tuesday, a Republican win that comes out a close race and reports of ballot running out at least in 9 precincts that were in majority Black counties. Go figure. Newsweek reported widespread accounts of polling stations running out of ballots in Hinds County, Mississippi, most populous county. Say that again. Hinds County is not only Mississippi's most populous county, it is also a Black county, heavily Black, resulting in some residents waiting several hours to cast their ballots. The lack of ballots prompted Hinds County Chancery Judge Dwayne Thompson to order polls to remain open for an extra hour after the state Democratic Party filed a lawsuit. Data from the U.S. Census Bureau show that Hinds County is 73.5% Black and traditionally vote Democratic. You think it's a by happenstance that they ran out of ballots? I promise you it ain't. A number of the precincts in Hyde County ran out of ballots during Election Day and are continuing to run out of ballots, and other may run out going forward. This is what Thomas wrote. It takes time to deliver more ballots to the precincts because of the disruption this has caused. The court granted the motion of the plaintiff to extend the closing hours in Hinds County from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. This is what Ross Adams said, who works for the local network at WAPT News, recorded ballots running out at 5 locations in Clinton and 1 in the neighboring city of Bolton, according to Newsweek. Brendan Hall from WLBT News had footage of a massive line of voters queuing in the dark outside Wildwood Baptist Church, one of the locations Adam visited. Let me say something. If people had to stay in line additional hours, the polls should have stayed open until those people voted. This idea that they stayed open 1 hour is not enough. This only happens by preparation. This is not an accident. This is not an accident. Hear what they said. The governor was reelected in a narrow victory in Mississippi when people were trying to participate in this election. Ran out of ballots. How do you run out of ballots? You should have enough ballots in your precinct for everybody there. Everybody registered to vote in that precinct. You should have a ballot for them, regardless if turnout is never 100%. You should be prepared for that. This is absolutely rookie and also straight up racism. And people say, how you know it's racist? It's 73.5%. It didn't run out in one of the white counties. It didn't run out in Nottoway. It didn't run out where white people live in Mississippi. We cannot pretend that this isn't voter suppression at its best. We cannot pretend that the Republicans didn't understand how important this governor's race was and also how close it was going to be, because people in Mississippi were fired up about some of the craziness that's been going on under this governor's administration. The situation with him and football NFL legend Brett Favre stealing $7 million to build from the welfare program to build a soccer or a volleyball court for his daughter at Mississippi State. All of that was on the ballot, and they made sure that they weren't going to lose. And the way they did that was by not sending enough ballots. Nina.
Yeah, man. Well, you hit the nail on the head. Should have enough ballots for every registered voter in the state, whether they show up or not. Should have a contingency plan. For the folks who always want to talk about this almost non-existent voter fraud and how it is against the law. And yes, voter fraud is against the law, but so is voter suppression. But we don't hear the same type of energy around protecting people from voter suppression than we hear for this almost non-existent voter fraud.
Yeah, okay, so I want you guys to understand. What is the difference, right? What is the difference between conservatives complaining about, for example, let's say a state like Arizona, in which, this happened. Voting machines went down while they were trying to vote. People had to wait in long lines to vote. And conservatives complain about it. They said, this is not fair. Okay, we think some funny business is going on here. What is the difference between that and what they're claiming right now? What is the difference? The difference is that they're claiming racism, right? They're saying that, well, this happened because of racism. But essentially, they're claiming fundamentally the same thing, which is that fraud occurred, because that would be voter fraud, right? To intentionally not have enough ballots so that black people can't vote, right? People who overwhelmingly vote Democrat. And again, I'm not even saying that this is true or that this happened on purpose. I don't know. I'm simply pointing out hypocrisy here. That's the point. The point is to point out hypocrisy. You're claiming voter fraud. That's what they're claiming. Now, in this video, Nina Turner is saying, well, voter fraud is non-existent, right? Basically what she's saying is that when the right has issues with what goes on in the election, that's illegitimate, right? It's made up, it's fake. But when we have issues, when we cry voter fraud, it's not actually voter fraud, it's voter suppression, right? And it's 100% legitimate. It's racist, even though they don't have any proof outside of circumstantial evidence, because that's what this is. Circumstantial evidence that this actually happened because it was intentional or because it had race. Race had something to do with it. They don't have any evidence, right, whatsoever to support this outside of, well, it just so happens that this was a majority black district and a Republican won the race, and therefore it was racism, right? This is what they're claiming, and it was done on purpose. But again, the difference in their minds is that, well, it's okay for us to claim voter fraud. It's okay for us to say that the election was stolen or it was rigged because our side didn't win, right? Our side lost. And we're crying racism. So therefore, it's okay, right? Just like when Hillary came out and cried, Russia, 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 because it goes along with an agenda that we're trying to push because we don't agree with the result, right? Oh, well, it's okay for us to say that the election was stolen. It's okay for us to say that fraud occurred. It's okay for us to essentially undermine democracy and to question elections, right? To be insurrectionists because, oh, well, we don't agree with it, right? Like our disagreements with the election are legitimate. The other side's disagreements with the election are not legitimate, right? Again, even though fundamentally, essentially, we're looking at similar claims, right? Very similar claims, right? In regards to what conservatives were claiming that happened in Arizona during the midterms, right? Versus what these people are now claiming what happened in Mississippi. Essentially, they're fundamentally some of the same claims, right? In regards to voter fraud. But again, when they claim it, it's okay. It's totally fine because racism, right? Left-wing agenda. But when the right says that, oh, well, no, you can't do that. You're just salty that you lost, right? You don't understand. You shouldn't question the outcome because it's always free and fair when conservatives lose, right? And it's always questionable, it's rigged, it's stolen when liberals lose. It's amazing how that works. It really is. And again, it's like that across the board when it comes to political violence in this country. Oh, it's terrible when the right does it, right? It's terrible, okay? It is the worst thing ever, okay? White supremacy is the biggest threat to this country. But when left-wingers commit acts of political violence, oh, well, they're just speaking out. This is freedom of speech. They're peaceful protesters. They're peaceful demonstrators, okay? When they overrun the Capitol to stop official proceedings over policies they don't like, oh, well, it's just a demonstration. When, right-wingers or conservatives or Trump supporters do it, it's a full-blown insurrection. Again, the double standards are out of control in this country. It really is. The hypocrisy of the left knows no bounds. These people always deny elections, right? Every time they lose, they find a way to say that, well, the election was stolen in a woke way, right? They just put a woke liberal spin on it. They blame Russia. They say, well, racism happened, X, Y, and Z, right? Voter suppression, okay? And that is their way of saying, well, the election was stolen, right? I think fraud occurred. Again, these people are straight up describing fraud, but they're trying to say, well, no, it's voter suppression. Voter fraud doesn't exist. Voter suppression does exist. But they're essentially describing voter fraud. Again, it's amazing. It's amazing. It really is. These people, they're the biggest hypocrites in the world. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.